Hi you guys. So I wanted to come on today and just talk to you about or just give you a few tips on parenting. And if you're a parent who is inquiring on putting your children into modeling, I've been asked this question so many times, and so I thought to just do a video on it. And so I will present to you at least 5 tips today. And yeah, so let's just jump right into it. So tip number 1, I would say make sure that modeling, acting, the entertainment industry is something that your child wants to do, and it's something that they have the personality to do it. Not just because you as a parent want them to do this thing and it's so exciting. Just make sure it's something that, you know, your child is actually like groomed and prepared and kind of naturally gravitates towards this type of career. So that they're not forced into, like, you know, they're not the square trying to fit into a circle, that this is something that they actually want to do, and it fits who they are. And I know there's many types of models and actors and actresses, all types of personalities. So I would say in this industry, just the basic, make sure there's something your child wants to do and something that they have the personality to do it. For my kids, for years, folks would say, oh, you should put your children into modeling. They're so beautiful. They have the personality. My kids are always sociable, approachable. I mean, they will speak to strangers and make friends within like 5 minutes. And I think a lot of kids are that way. But with my kids, it was more than just children. It was also adults. It's pretty scary. So, and also my children were raised in church, to where it was a ministry where we did a lot of outreach in the streets. And so, like, going speaking to the homeless and praying for other people, it was something they had a heart for early. They were born into the ministry, and so I think that just carried into who they are today. And so, yeah, I would say make sure it's something your child wants to do, and make sure that they have the personality to do it. And also, give you some examples. So, example, my children were asked to cast for various castings. Sorry, I had an alarm on my phone. So my children were asked to cast different things. And so my daughter, once my daughter's like, she was asked to cast for a Lego commercial, and she was like, Mom, no, this is my weekend. I was like, okay. So, like, you know, sometimes you have to, or most times, you know, just listen to your child. Your child knows like what they need. Like, no, Mom, I need this rest. No, Mom, I need a break. No, Mom, I just want to be a kid. So I think that's like number 1, very important. The acting, all the other things, it's fun and also a way to make good money for your family. But number 1, make sure your child's mental, physical, emotional health is, you know, at par. Like, those are priorities. And also, I can give a little backstory. So when my children started modeling, going back to the personality, making sure they have the personality for it. Let's see, they casted for a fashion show back in 2017. And I mean, the way my kids are behind camera, off scenes, is who they are in front of the camera. So, like, to see my daughter, my oldest daughter at the time, when she casted for a fashion show, or casted, I'm just gonna use that word, doing the rehearsal or practice, like, I was so nervous for her. She was just like, oh my God, you know, my kids were nervous. It was my 2 oldest girls. And once the casting director counted down 3, 2, 1 and go, like, her whole everything just changed. Like, she got straight into position, to character, and she literally rocked the runway during practice. And I was just blown away. I was just like, who is this girl? Where has she been practicing? Where have I been when she was practicing? And I just think back, like, in that moment, I thought back of all the moments, all the years prior to that moment, how my girls were always just playing and acting and pretending to be on a TV show, or just reenacting scenes. Like, they love Zendaya. They love watching, you know, these kid TV shows, and it's just who they are. They're silly, they're goofy, they always love to have fun. And so, yeah, I would just say make sure it's something your kids want to do and they have personality to do it. All right, so point number 2, I would say be a proactive and resourceful parent. And what I mean by that is make sure that you research local and national modeling agencies. Usually agencies require that you live in their region so that you're available for castings and bookings. There are other agencies that don't. So I would say search out the best agency for your child. I will also say be resourceful. And so what I mean by that is maybe there's an event coming up, maybe there's a fashion show you can enter your child into, and usually photographers at the fashion shows, they're professional photographers. And so those photos that you get at the end of the runway for your child, use those photos to enter your child or enter your child into a model agency to upload their photos. When you email the model agency, you send like headshot, full body. You can use those photos. It's good. Now I'm thinking back, because sometimes they require just like natural hair, a blank shirt, and sometimes at the fashion shows they're like extravagant. I mean, it depends. So I would say just still be resourceful. You can still use those photos, add it to your child's portfolio and to their resume. I mean, it looks good when they go to other castings and apply for the agencies and they see that the child has experience. And so also when you at these fashion shows or events, make sure you network. A lot of times, like the saying is true, is not what you know, is who you know. And so when you meet other photographers, you meet other moms, you meet other agency, other managers, other folks in the different parts of the entertainment industry, start networking, get to know who they are, who they know, who they could connect you to, what project could be available for your child next. You never know where opportunities lie ahead if you don't network. So I would say be proactive and be resourceful. Use your resources. And then that brings me to tip number 3, which is use what you have. Like being a resourceful parent. When I started off with my children modeling, I didn't have like the fanciest camera. I didn't have the newest camera. Literally, I had an Obama phone. I used the camera for that. I don't even think the phone was on. It was so janky, like some of the buttons were missing, I believe. I think the screen was like cracked. It was just so janky, but I used what I had. And this was a time where like I wasn't working. My husband just lost his job. And I remember just taking my girl's photos and on that phone, but I made sure the lighting was good. I did a lot of research that day, just trying to get a feel of like what type of photo to send in. And I kid you not, within like less than 48 hours, all 4 of my girls were invited to do interviews for their first model agency. And at that first interview, they were actually just signed. They signed their contracts. So, yes, I would say use what you have. And on top of that, make sure you have good lighting. You want to make sure you have good lighting behind your camera, not in front of the camera. You want to make sure that there's not a lot in your background. You want a plain background. You want to make sure that your child has a plain shirt on, no logos. You want to make sure they have natural hair, show their natural hair, no makeup. They're kids. Maybe you just want to do like little lip gloss or chapstick or whatever. But other than that, keep it plain and simple, natural. Even going outside in nature, those are nice photos. That's natural lighting. And yeah, that's all I have for that. All right, so moving on to tip number 4. All right, so tip number 4 is be a positive parent and not a pushy parent. You want to be your child's cheerleader. You don't want to be the person or parent who's like, just, we've heard stories of child actors in the past where the parents were just outright ratchet, just like horrible managers, stealing their kids' money, pushing them to do this, pushing them to that, pushing them to that. You want to be that parent. You want to be the parent that encourages your child. Yes, there have been times when I've had to get on my daughters about, hey, you got a fashion show coming up. We have to scale back on the social media. We got to scale back on the video games this weekend. You guys practice your walk. Let's make sure you get to bed early. Make sure days before that they're not playing too rough outside. Kids love to play, skate, ride their bikes. They're not like scratching up their knees and their legs and, making marks on their body, because they do have to perform. They do have to do a show. And so in those areas, it's a little different. But for the most part, do not be a pushy parent. Do not be the parent that puts your child down, like tell them they have to do this, have to do that, do better on this, do better on that. It's okay to encourage your child and show them areas where they can improve on, but not to the point where you're putting them down. You always want to uplift your child. You always want to encourage them. You always want to make sure that they're being the best person who they can be. And yeah, so don't be a pushy parent. Be a positive parent. And number 5, which is really like my favorite tip to give parents, just in general, not just parents who are seeking to put their children in modeling, but I would say tip number 5, make sure your child is grounded and well-rounded. You don't want to raise a child who's stuck up and snobby. Like, even agents would tell you that. Like, my daughters, a few years ago, they tried out for Disney, and like when they went to the interview, like the guy who was hosting the whole little Disney casting, he was just also saying, like, this is not the type of kids we look for. They like kids who are respectful and well-rounded, and they have a good background. So make sure, those values that you have, that you were raised with, those morals and values, make sure you instill those into your children. And because that's going to show. That's going to show in front of the camera. It's going to show when they network with other people. You don't want your child to be, just as stubborn and all these things. Who likes rude people anyway? It's not cute. It may look like it's cute on social media or on TV, but really it's not. It's off-putting, actually, and to see it in the child, like, it's like, oh, it's disgusting to me. So I would say make sure you keep your child well-rounded and grounded. It's good for them to be confident. That comes with being that positive parent. You don't want them to be stuck up. You want them to be confident in who they are. Make sure that they're doing other things. It's important for kids to be involved in other things like sports and, other clubs or things in school. Like there's school office positions they can run for. There's choir. There's all of the things that kids can do. And so just keep them well-rounded and make sure they have a good foundation. And I would say, like, this is just outside of modeling. I always encourage parents to have family meetings. I think family meetings are so important. It's a time for families to get together and kind of like just verbalize how they feel, how things have been going for them. It's a time to express, like, if there's any issues they have with another family member. Example, I always give this example where my 6-year-old, she can't wait for family meetings because she always has like an issue. She doesn't like when people, this one she had her bunk bed, but she doesn't like when people sit on her bed or put clothes on her bed. And that was important. I mean, I'm not gonna say little, but every issue or every comment or every statement that a family member had to say, from the least being youngest to the greatest being oldest, was very important. And so I would say create family meetings, make that a routine. I will also say make sure your children are involved with household responsibilities. That creates them being more well-rounded as well. They become more humbled, and they get a sense of contributing to the larger family household, where they're doing their part as well to help out. And so it gives them like the servant attitude. They're not like, oh, serve me. It's like, how can I help you? Those are the type of children that I am raising. And so never want them to think they're too good to help out anyone, never too good to get their hands dirty and help out. So yeah, make sure your children are grounded, well-rounded, have good values. There's chores, they have responsibilities, they're involved in other things. And also, like with sports, it helps them become more of a team member, right? The more well-rounded and involved the children are in positive activities, the better adult they'll become, the more responsible, mature, respectful, loving adult that they'll become. And so also make sure you do one-on-ones with your kids. one-on-one outings, one-on-one check-ins. Like, that is so important. I have 5 children, and I mean, it's work, but to remember to, even if it's 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 1 hour, it's going to benefit. It's going to benefit so much. I have a 16-year-old who's my oldest, only boy, and every now and then, you know, we do check-ins, and what I see the benefit from that is that at 16, he's able to come to me with any issues he may have, and he's vulnerable, he's open, he's comfortable enough to cry in front of me and say, Mom, I had an issue with this person or this person, and I don't know what to do next. And, you know, we'll pray, we'll talk about it, we'll move on, and just make sure you are fostering that healthy environment in your home. You want to make sure that your children's foundation is good at home, so that when they leave outside the world, they step in front of the camera, whatever they do, that they're not carrying these issues, these things with them. No family is perfect. I mean, our family is far, far from perfect. We have our own issues. We've had our own issues. There's been chaos. There's been drama. I mean, there's so much has happened, but me as a parent, like, it's always been my ultimate goal to make sure that I eliminate as much chaos as possible, that my children are tainted as much as by the world and negative things. And so continuing to check in with them one-on-one, continue to be the best parent you could be, continue to encourage them, continue to be a positive parent. That doesn't mean not to discipline them when they need the discipline. Consequences are real. They're needed. So it's how children also learn. So yeah, that is it. Let me know if there's anything you would like me to discuss in later future videos in regards to modeling. I'm going to do another video on how to prepare your child for their first fashion show, or what parents can do before a casting, or before some type of entertainment event. So that's it for now. Love you guys. Have a good night, and I'll see you in the next video. And also, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Hit your notification bell for the next video. Also, behind me is my poster to my book, Raising Mama, where I give my testimony of becoming a mom. I was the only child, and I have 5 children who I enjoy. Growing up as only child, it was lonely, and so having 5 children is never a dull moment ever, and I truly enjoy it. And so read this book. It also gives my testimony of how I almost had an abortion with my first son, and I thank God for him, for his Holy Spirit, for his angels, for all of heaven just literally moving on my son's behalf to make sure that he be here. And so yes, that's that. And also I have some hair growth oil. This oil is so great, you guys. Like, I've sold dozens of bottles already. It only came out like last summer, and I think I introduced it in the fall, just past fall, and half my inventory is gone. So I would say check out this hair oil. See, I'll try to post reviews on it, but it's 100% natural. There's peppermint oil, there's rosemary oil, there's avocado oil. So this hair oil is awesome. So yeah, that's it. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and love you guys. See you in the next video. Bye.